Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to do a review of Detective Club by Alexander Nevsky, published by iGames, who were kind enough to give me a copy to review. This is a game for 4 to 8 players, which plays in about 45 minutes for ages 8 and up. And it's almost like a cross between The Chameleon and Dixit. I'll explain how to play the game and share my thoughts, but first I'd like to ask you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That means a lot. And also check out my Patreon page if you'd like to support what I do. Supporters of my channel get early access to all of my videos, Patreon exclusive videos, as well as their name in the credits. All right, let's open up the box and set up a game. All right, so Detective Club. Let's look at the box. It is a really nice looking tin box actually, with cool illustrations of some of the cards on the box, with apparently a detective wearing a fedora on top of that. So that looks nice. And on the back we have a little bit of text, and there's the names of the designers, the components, some more art. Plays 4 to 8 players, ages 8 and up, in about 45 minutes. So I'll have to just get rid of the shrink wrap because this is tin, can't keep it on. So I'll just rip it off, which is also nice to do for once. Okay, there we go. It's a lot faster. All right. So the tin, it's like a cookie tin. Now I feel like cookies. So we have a cool looking rule book, which is like an evidence file. It says evidence over here, case number 2018. And there are the rules how to play. Also illustrated to make things clear. Game variants. And that's it already. It's literally 3 pages of rules, because here is the French rules. So that's really simple. You learn this really quickly. And there's a Detective Club beeper app, so you can use this instead of the notebooks that we will see in the game. All right, so we have punch boards here with some tokens, clue tokens, as you can see. And these 1-2 boards, one for all of the players, one for each player. More clue tokens. And even more clue tokens. And more clue tokens. So we've got plenty of those, and 8 colors. So you can play up to 8 players. All the players also have these cool magnifying glass pieces. Rather big magnifying glass, really cool. So there's 8 of those in all the different player colors. Really nice. It comes in this nice insert as well. Here is a spot where you can keep these, as you can see, and the clue tokens just go in there, and this goes in here. So there's, been put a bit of thought towards the insert as well. Keep everything in place nicely. Then you have these notepads, and each player is going to use these during the game. And you write on it, and there's plenty of them. So yeah, there's a whole stack. So 8 of these. And underneath that stack is a nice slot for a pencil for the active player to note things on the notebooks. And then finally, the most beautiful piece of this game is this giant stack. And it's really a big stack of cards with art on them, and they are Dixit sized, so you could actually use them to play Dixit, and vice versa, use those cards to play Detective Club, which I think is a nice touch. Of course the backs will be different, but that doesn't really matter, just don't mix them up. And yeah, so plenty of those. Let's just open that up, and I'll just quickly show a few. I'm a big fan of these kind of games where you have these beautiful pieces of art and you can just, gaze upon them. So here's a floating tree, on a floating island with all these eyes everywhere. And here's an ancient tree, an ant, reading a book. Here's a freaky looking circus clown with a rabbit, a bunny in a hat. And here's a kind of a sad looking doll with all kinds of stuff happening, and an octopus and fiery goldfish. And I like the fact that the more you look at these, the more you discover. I mean, look at all these cards. Well, I'm not going to show them all, of course. It would take too long and it would spoil the fun a bit. But just for this alone, I mean, it's worth getting the game if you like this kind of artwork. All right, so let's explain the rules. To set up a game of Detective Club, take all of these player boards, and there's 8 of them in all kinds of different colors. So you simply pick your favorite color, and every player plays one of these. So I'm setting this up for a 4-player game in this example. Also take your detective marker, which is this magnifying glass, in the same color as your board, of course. Shuffle all the evidence cards and make a large pile in the center of the table within easy reach. Keep all of the scoring tokens within easy reach as well. You don't need to flip them around. You can just toss them on the table. They come in a denomination of 3, 4, or 5 points. Decide who gets to be the first player and give that player the pencil, and that will be the player who will give a clue during the first round. Also give that player a number of notepads equal to the number of players -1. So the clue giver will write the clue in these notepads and will not keep one for themselves, and they will pass them out to the other players. And once you've done that, the setup is complete and you can start playing. Let's explain the rules. At the beginning of the game, every player draws 6 cards from the stack. So let's say this is my hand of cards. I have 6 cards here, and I start as the clue giver. I'm the active player. I have the pencil and the notepads. And I take a look at my cards, and I'm trying to decide what word to use. And they have to match 2 of my cards, because you're going to be playing 2 cards during the round. So I have this black tea, I have some drink being poured here, I have a pond with a little boat and a frog, I have another pond, or sea perhaps, with a boat and a lady in it, I have some melons, fruit, and a sheep, and I have some kind of strange tree with cutlery. So I could go for pond or water or something like that, or maybe I'll go with beverage. So I'll pick the word beverage, but I don't say that out loud. I keep that to myself, and I keep my cards secret, of course, so I put those down. Then I take all of the notepads, which is again a number equal to the number of players -1, because the clue giver doesn't keep a notepad. I will be passing these out to the other players. Then I will write down beverage, that was the word I chose, on all of the notepads except one. So one of the notepads, I'm not going to write down a word, but I do that in secret. Right, so then I take all of those, and then under the table or something behind my back, I give those a shuffle, and then I randomly, so I don't look at them, but I randomly give them to the other players. So I don't know who will be the conspirator being the player who does not know the clue. All right, so once that is done, then I play my first card. So I was going to play, oh, hang on, for the example, I'll play this card first. So I'll play this card, play that at spot number 1. The rules say place this card in the middle of the table as the clue giver, but I just like to put it down. I mean, we can remember who the active player was because that player has the pencil, of course. So then the other players will take their turn, and they will secretly look at their notepad. So this player knows that the word is beverage, and they will look at their cards, and perhaps they will play this card. This might be the best card they have, that has some kind of liquid, and they play that. Now, every time you play a card, so that's something I needed to do as well, you draw back up to 6. You always have 6 cards in your hand. So you can look at your card, take that in your hand. So that player plays that card, draws a new card to their hand. Then the second player, who has also looked at their notepad, and that is also a detective. They know the clue. And they will also play a card from their hand, and maybe they will play this card, which clearly has a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. So that's a good beverage right there. So they will play that. That player does not know the clue. That player is the conspirator. So they have to judge from the other cards that have been played what the clue might be. So they might think, well, there's jars and glasses. It might be glass, you know, or a container, or, you know, some kind of vessel, or maybe it's liquid. They don't know. So they look at their cards and they think, well, look, I have a card with lots of liquid, lots of water, and a jar, and water in the jar. So I'll play that. So they play that card. Now you play your second card, the active player's turn again, and they look at their cards. And again, every time somebody plays a card, that player also draws a card. Don't forget to do that. So you look at your cards again, you have 6 cards again, and you're trying to help the conspirator to stay secret. You know, you don't want to make it clear that they are the conspirator. So if after the first card, the active player might have an idea of who the conspirator is, they should play their second card to be very clear and to try and help them go in the right direction. So they see that they played a glass jar, so they might think, okay, he's thinking of glass or something, and I want them to think of beverage. So yeah, and I drew this card, which is also someone drinking a beverage, but this is quite clearly a beverage. I'll stick to my original card, but you can always change if you want to, if you need to steer the conspirator in a certain direction. So I played that card, draw a new one. Again, the second player does the same. Maybe they want to play this card, which has a corkscrew, which is also something to do with a beverage. The third player is going to play this card, which clearly has a beverage on it. They had some good cards there. But now that player thinks, oh, I think it has something to do with a drink. So I'm going to play this card, because those are clearly drinks. This is for wine. So I'm going to play this card instead. So then all the players will have played 2 cards. When it's the active player's turn again, then starts the next phase in which the word is revealed. So now the active player will say, well, the word, as you all know, was beverage. And then they explain their cards. So they say, well, I put the black tea here, and of course this is also a drink being poured, so both are beverages. That's my motivation for these cards. Then every player does the same. They motivate, they explain why they played those cards, and of course the conspirator tries to bluff their way into making the other players think they were in fact a detective and that they knew the word. So they might say, well, the first card, I didn't have anything with liquids or beverages or anything else. I didn't have this card yet. So I played this, hopefully, I mean, this is a jar with water in it. That is kind of a liquid. And then when I played this, I drew this card, which might not actually have been the case, but they can lie. And they said, well, then I drew this card, which had a teapot, and that is clearly a beverage. So I was in much better shape the second round, and that's why I played that card. So then after all the motivations have been given, it is time to start voting. So all the players, they may now discuss who they think is the conspirator, except for the active player. The active player does not partake in the voting, of course, and the other players will, discuss. So that player might say, well, for me, it's obvious that that player is the conspirator, and that player might say, well, no, that is obviously, you didn't have anything to do with a drink, so, you're the conspirator. And they're trying to convince the other players that they are detectives. So after that's been done, every player can take their voting token, this spyglass, in their color, magnification glass, and they place it on that player's tableau, and this player might think, well, maybe it was you. After the voting has been done, it's time to reveal your notepad. So this player says, well, I was a detective. Yes, I was a detective too, and this player was the conspirator. Then it's time to tally the points. So how do you get points? Every player who played their token on the conspirator get 3 points. So the blue player guessed correctly, you get 3 points. You just take a 3-point token. They get that token. This player did not guess correctly. They don't get any points at all. Now, if the conspirator has 2 or more tokens, so if in a 4 or 5 or 6 player game, they got another token, then they do not get any points at all. Neither does the clue giver. So the active player and the conspirator get no points with 2 or more people pointing them out as the conspirator. But as in this case, if the conspirator has only 1 or 0 tokens, so only one person maximum thought they were the conspirator, then the conspirator gets 5 points and the active player gets 4 because they were able to help them make a good call with the cards. Then every player who has gotten a token can flip it around to keep your score a secret until the end of the game. And then the next player will be the active player. So you simply collect all the notepads, give that to the next player, the player to the left of the previous active player, give them the pencil. Everybody takes back their own clue token. So that and the cards that were played in this round are simply discarded. So then you start a new round. Everybody should have drawn back up to 6 cards. The active player takes a look at their card, picks a topic, writes it down on all notepads except one, randomly deals them out again, plays their first card. All the other players play their first card. Then they play their second card, and all the other players play their second card, etc. Until everybody has played the active player once in a 6, 7, or 8 player game, or twice in a 4 or 5 player game. Then at the end you simply reveal all of your victory point tokens, you add up your victory points, and the person with the most points wins the game. If there is a tie, then the person with the most tokens wins the game, and if that's also a tie, then they share the victory. The game also has a few variants in the rule book. There's a thematic game where you pick a topic and then all the clues you give need to be somehow related to that topic, which can be a bit more difficult. You can change that topic every round, or you can keep it for the entire game. And you can also play without discussing, so you can not give a discussion about which cards you picked, or discuss who you think might be the conspirator. You simply play your cards, don't explain them, and then you vote, and that's that. So those are optional rules you might want to play with, and that is how you play Detective Club. Let's go to my final thoughts. Alright, so my final thoughts on Detective Club by iGames. Well, let me start with the components. The components are very good. You get a whole bunch of cards, 168 of these clue cards, which are a nice big size so that you can clearly see the art. I mean, if you can play this up to 8 players, you're sitting at a big table, you got these cards lying on the table and you need to see what they are. So the bigger, the better, and this is a really nice and big size. It's the same size as Dixit cards, so they are also compatible with that, which is excellent. So the cards are great. They have a linen finish as well. That also means that they're not super shiny or glossy, which also makes it easier to see them when you have lights over the table. You got a whole bunch of tokens, or a whole lot of tokens, which are your victory points. You get 3, 4, or 5 points. And you can flip them over once you have them, so you can keep your score secret, and they are of a very nice thickness. You get a small pencil and of course a notepad for every player, so there's 8 in the game. There's plenty of pages in them, and so, you know, you can put multiple words on one page, and even on the back if you really want to, you could do that as well. And once you've used a word, you just cross it off and write down the next one. So that works fine as well. They look really nice. I like the book kind of cover here with the question mark, very thematic. You get these player boards with the 1 and a 2 on it, basically just for putting down your 2 cards really, and for identifying your color. That's really all that is, of the same cardboard and the same thickness, so that is good as well. And you get these player markers, which are really nice, these little spy glasses in the same colors, of course, 8 different ones. And you use those to point out who you think is the conspirator. The rules note that it's just a wooden token, just a circular token, but my edition has these spyglasses, which is really cool, and they're nice and big and chunky as well. So the components are really good. The box is a tin, at least my edition is. There are several editions of this published by different publishers and different language, well, the rules in different languages, and some of them might be in a cardboard box. The tin is okay. I do like the look of it, but you know, you can also, of course, easily dent a tin, and it's not always the best size for your shelves, but it is sturdy. So there's that. You get your rules, which is only a couple of pages, and this edition had several languages in it as well. There's also a plastic insert in here, which does the job. It's nothing special. I just worry that when I sleeve my cards, which I usually do for Dixit-like games with big cards like these, that it won't fit anymore, and I'm gonna have to toss out the insert and make my own. So that's the only point I have there. The artwork is absolutely excellent. Again, with most Dixit type games, you get all of these beautiful pieces of art on these cards, and I absolutely love them. They're beautiful, they're very fantasy-like and fairy tale-like, and there's all kinds of different pieces of art. I'm not going to show them all, of course. I don't want to spoil anything, but these are absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous cards. So I love that. The artwork is absolutely perfect, and it's one of the main reasons I wanted to try and play this game. The theme isn't really here. I mean, it's a detective club. You're trying to find who the conspirator is, so who the person is who doesn't know the clue. But, I mean, it's just like Dixit. It's a game where you try to figure out who actually knew the clue and played the right cards and who was bluffing, and that's really it. So there's not really a theme to speak of. So no extra points there, but the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. I love games like this. I love Dixit. I love Mysterium. I also love games like The Chameleon, party games, word games like that, or Fake Artist Goes to New York, where one person doesn't know the clue and still needs to bluff their way to make others think that they know, that they're not the conspirator or the traitor or whatever. And I absolutely love that. And this really combines Dixit with a game like The Chameleon or Fake Artist. And it works so well because you play a card as the storyteller, and you don't say anything. You just write the name, the word, the term, whatever you want, the saying on these notepads, except for one. Then you randomly pass them out, so you don't know who the conspirator is at the start either. And then you just play your first card without saying anything, and then everybody does that. And the conspirator needs to pay attention to what other people are playing, and hopefully they have a card that matches as good as possible. But if they're the first person after the storyteller to play a card, then that's tough, that's difficult. You really have to try and find a card that really matches the card that was played, and you don't always have that, so it's gonna be difficult to talk your way out of it after all the cards have been played and the clue is revealed. Then you need to explain why you played those cards, and there's a lot of bluffing there and a bit of smooth talking, trying to worm your way out of being the conspirator, which is again a lot of fun, and I love games that do that. So excellent gameplay, really enjoy it. Replayability is very good. You get 168 clue cards, which is more than double the number of cards that you get in a standard Dixit game or expansion. So there is a lot of replayability already in the base game. And if you want to expand this, just grab a Dixit deck. Just grab your Dixit games and just play with that, because that works too. It just needs cards with nice pictures on them in this size. Mysterium has them as well. So you can mix and match however you want. You can also just play Dixit with these cards, of course. So that is absolutely excellent. Replayability is very good. Finally, the language dependency. There is none. This is a game that purely plays with these pictures on the cards. And yeah, so there is no language needed other than, of course, the rules that you need to learn. But you can also probably find those online easily enough. So also points for that. In the end, I really love this game. I'm giving it 2 thumbs up, and I'd like to thank iGames for giving me a copy to review. Very much appreciated. Really, really cool game. Absolutely recommend if you like games like Dixit or Mysterium or the Chameleon and party games such as that. You do, of course, need to keep in mind that it is a game for 4 to 8 players, so you do need a big enough party to play this with. You can't play this with 2 or 3 players. Alright, so that was it, my review of Detective Club. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also please check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below or the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.